Tom, obviously when you play a character like Mr. Rogers, you don't want to do an impersonation, but you want to capture the spirit of the man. Where did you start, and how did you kind of build how you were going to portray it?
That was actually a specific question that I had with Mari, the boss. Were we going to do a photo-realistic version of him? Were we going to use dental? Were we going to change my teeth? Where there was a very specific sort of nose? Were we going to do something with a CGI? And she said, no, you'll have a wig, and we'll do something with the eyebrows, and that's it. I said, okay, so that's one confine of it. Then the shared concern we had was that Mr. Rogers is a funny, talking, sounding, looking guy that has become something of a, comedic meme for, cultural kind of like signpost of something that is odd and amusing. So taking that, which is part of a TV persona for some, but is actually a persona. Actually, it is the person of Fred Rogers. That became the big challenge of everything that we did. Outside of the choice of the cardigan sweaters and what have you, had to be some other version of a recognizable, as opposed to a stereotypical or characters, or actually an impression of somebody, as opposed to an embodiment of somebody. That sounds more highfalutin than I think I deserve to be able to say, because there's an awful lot of physical cadences, there's the way he talked, there are pronunciations. But getting to that is a bit of contrary to an awful lot of what I understand movie making needs to be, which is fast and energetic and competitive and wild. And he was not any of that.
I think I'm familiar with most of your work, but I don't think you've worked on hand puppets before. What was that experience like?
Well, the fact that they were hand puppets, I was trained by some expert hand puppet people, and they were on as well. And that was another thing working out with Mari, of the wanting to see the whole thing in action. So Mr. Rogers, he screwed up his body, getting back down into those positions in order to do it. But I went home with a training puppet. I went home with a Daniel striped tiger that had no stripes, but he had everything else, and I worked with him in a mirror, and I did a thing where I could not see myself in the mirror, but I could see him, and worked on some of the specifics of the motions.
One of the things I think audiences are going to be really surprised with, and maybe they have a memory of Mr. Rogers, a memory they don't, but how incredibly insightful, thoughtful this man was, that his whole essence was having you talk, was pulling information out of you. What insight did that give you, even just playing him?
It was a matter of listening, because when you look at the show, he is talking to one specific person just a couple inches on the other side of the screen. So you'll notice that when you say it, when he says things like often you find that, or we, he never said, hey kids, it was always very specific. That, along with the moments of listening, he, even when he's with other people, like when he was visiting, a band or a store, or going to the pasta factory to see how spaghetti is made, he would often just do this. He would include that one person along with him, and along with the silence and along with that look comes the whole philosophy of what he was doing. He was not using an audience in order to sell something or to communicate something. He was actually inviting his little audience member along with it. Like when he would hear music, he would literally say, "Wasn't that just beautiful?" And then come back and talk. So that's an extraordinary kind of. Some people would view that as breaking a fourth wall, or reading the news or whatever. But no, it was actually part of the filmmaking manifestation of what his whole philosophy of is why he was there in the first place.
Just a wrap question for you. What is here? We're here at the Toronto Film Festival. Mm-hmm. What does a festival like this mean to an artist and to movies?
Well, it's just a matter of, come on, what else is out there? There's a combination of buzz, and a lot of it is like a commercial thing. What's it doing for the industry and the business of show? But you get past that, and it's just a communication of ideas. The hard thing is when you're here talking to everybody like this, you don't get to go off and see some of the other stuff that's playing. I was lucky I was able to see the movie when it came in Just Mercy with Jamie Foxx, and just being able to sit, and it's not, it was available, and it was like, it unfolded like it was like a delicious meal that you just get to sit down, and you have no expectations. I didn't hear anything about it. It just was what it was, like that. And that is the best reason for there to be a film festival, so that people with the right kind of ticket can just go off and see. What better day can you possibly have by seeing 2 or 3 good movies a day, even if maybe you can't get to them all. But we love films, and that's one of the things about the film festival. Oh, you love movies. Yeah, we do.